Hey, it's Sunday today and there's not much going on. It's wet because it rained 2 days ago and we had quite the storm. I was awoken at 6 a.m. to some pounding rain just slamming right into my window, and looked out and there was one of the worst storms that we've had in a while. And the next morning we were out of power, and so this would have been yesterday morning. We were out of power and we heard that a tree crashed and hit one of the highline poles, and so we didn't have power, and it was pretty tough getting stuff going because our garage doors, which are powered by electricity, were not able to be used, and so we had to unhook a couple of them and lift them up. But we got feeding done, and then we had other stuff going on, but we got to drive around and check out how the crops were doing after that big storm, because there were some really fast blowing winds. This stuff looks decent. I'm driving a little too fast, but you can see that there's some that's fallen over. That's not our field, but I'll take you guys to one of our corn fields that doesn't look very good. It's got quite a bit of green snap. But right now we're driving to a soybean field. And once we get there, I'll talk about what happened and why it's looking like it is. Pulling into our 160 acre field over here, we had beans on it. Had beans on it. And if you've been wondering why I don't do spraying videos, it's because we don't do our own spraying. We hire a local co-op to spray it for us. And I'm not gonna mention their name because I don't wanna make them look bad. They had a mistake and they owned up to it. So you can see these beans are toast. They're folding over. Leaves are starting to get really brown. They're twisted. We have 2 fields of enlist beans, and it's a new bean that just came out. And what it is it's a bean that is resistant to 2,4-D. And those 2 fields needed sprayed, and the company messed up and they told the sprayer to come to this field, which isn't an enlist bean, it's an extend bean. So they hit this field hard with 2,4-D, and these beans are not 2,4-D resistant. By looking at this field, it looks like it's basically 100% loss. 2,4-D is an auxin-like herbicide, and auxin is produced in the plant at the apical meristem up here towards the top, and it's responsible for cell elongation. So when you apply a synthetic auxin to it, basically the cells start elongating and growing, and basically growing the plant to death. And so you get this twisting and bending. The twisting is called epinasty. You can see some of these joints are big and overgrown, and it makes the plant brittle, and it just kills the plant. And it's a really good herbicide for weeds, and it really did a number on this soybean field. The company that sprayed this field, they owned up to it, and they're working with us really well, and so we're thankful for that. Obviously we wish this didn't happen, because this was one of our better looking fields of soybeans. And with them spraying this one, they didn't get the other one sprayed that needed sprayed, and so the weeds kept growing, and it rained, and so they had to wait a while. But that field is finally sprayed and it's looking better, but this one, there's no coming out of it. And so where do we go from here? Well, they've told us that they have insurance and they will pay us to recoup our losses, because we put a lot of money into this field. We've sprayed it once and then they sprayed it again with the wrong stuff. And we've put the seed into the ground and we fertilized this field. And so without them paying, we would have lost thousands of dollars. Now we have to think about what we're gonna do with this field. We've talked about maybe putting in some winter wheat. We've talked about putting in some radishes and turnips just for soil health benefits. Another reason why we're so disappointed with this field getting destroyed is this is the first field we used that drill in, and we kind of have this field split. Half of it's drilled, half of it's planted, and so we would have been able to look at our yield maps and seen how well our drilled beans did compared to our planted beans. And we're not going to be able to see it on this field. We do have one other field that's split planted, drilled and planted. We'll be able to see some stuff from that, but it would be nice to have different places that we could check it out just to make sure our data is correct. So now that I've showed you what 2,4-D does to a bean that's not resistant to it, we're gonna head over. We're gonna pull up to one of the worst fields that we have that got hit by this storm 2 nights ago. And what happened is it was so windy And our corn's been growing a lot because it's been really nice weather. We've had a lot of moisture, and basically a lot of the plants have leaned over. Many of them have just snapped completely off. After that field, I'm gonna show you another bean field that we have that has a slight infestation of an insect, and I just thought that'd be very interesting for some of you young agronomists out there or other people in agriculture, just to see what this one insect is doing to our plants. So just driving by this field, it's pretty heartbreaking. You can see looking down the rows that there's a lot that are completely cut off. Just right here, you can see there's a lot laying on the ground. You can see it just snapped right over. And there's a lot of other farmers in our area that are dealing with this. Walking into it, it's looking worse than just driving by it on the road. Up here it looks pretty bad. Holy crap. It seems like right in this area it's pretty bad. I'm not sure how fast they said the wind was, but it was pretty nuts at 6 a.m. the other night. It was just pounding our house. I kind of think I'm standing in the worst spot right now, and I really hope I am. This whole row for 100 feet is desecrated, and there's so many of them that are just laid over. It really sucks because this stuff was getting tall, and we had full canopy, and now we're gonna have low yield and weeds are gonna start coming up eventually. That's why it's so important when you're picking your different hybrids to plant. For us, we get a big wind basically every year, and we try to pick out plants with a thicker stalk and that are a little bit stronger and will hold up to the wind. After I got done walking through a little bit of the field, I put the drone up in the air, and it's definitely worse than we thought it was. And I'm gonna need to make sure my dad's sitting down before I show him that video, because oh my gosh. One of the worst parts about it is this spring was so wet, and my dad and I we tried so hard getting this crop in here, and I was thinking about how many times I came over here with the 4-wheel drive, just trying to air it out by using the field cultivator. Man, we spent hours out here just prepping this field, fertilizing this field, and then in the end we just get one storm that snaps probably at least 30% of the stalks over. Now we're gonna head over to that soybean field that has a little infestation, and we'll talk about that. On the road, this field of soybeans looks just fine. And just walking down it, it doesn't look too bad either. But to really see what's going on, you got to get in the field and check it out. And so here's the damage that this insect is doing. They leave kind of a webbed, curled leaf, and there's a decent amount of defoliation. And so it looks like, yeah, here's one of them. What it is called is the thistle caterpillar. There's what it looks like. And it's also called the painted lady caterpillar. And so what this guy does is obviously just eats on the leaves. This is the larval stage. It becomes a butterfly in the end. The threshold for this guy is about 10 caterpillars per linear foot, per foot of row. And so we're not at that point. We're probably at about 1 to 2. So we won't spray this for insects. And one reason for that is it's kind of expensive. Also, when you spray for insects, you kill all the insects out here, the beneficials and the probably 1 or 2 different species that are harmful to our plant. And so when you do that, the beneficials take a lot longer to come back. you're more apt to have more problems in the following years. And so if you're not 100% sure that you need to spray, then you shouldn't spray, because those beneficial insects, they take a lot longer to come back, and it's pretty hard for them to catch up to the pest insects. So thanks for watching this video today. If you haven't yet, click on this video to figure out how to win a free tractor. See you later, have a good one.